Up next on Talk is Cheap. Reincarnation. Do children have memories of past lives? Stick around and check it out. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to planet Earth and beyond. My name is Pete Halbleib, bringing another episode of Talk is Cheap your way. And of course, as always, joining me.
Yo.
How's it going, Dano?
I'm doing all right, Pete.
Doing all right. Anything new in your world?
The one thing that's new, can you see what I'm wearing?
Oh, yeah, I did notice that when I walked in tonight.
The store is starting to come along. I'm doing my QA analysis.
Oh, good. Did that one pass quality?
Yeah. I think it's all right. Gotta run it through the wash system yet, but I think it'd be all right.
I do the wash test to it. It looks like a quality shirt.
But one thing I want to mention, see how you're touching me?
Yeah.
I'm in Arizona right now.
Oh, awesome.
Can you believe it?
Magic of the internet, you know.
Arizona. The wild women, the ripping and the tearing,
Yep.
the ripping and the tearing.
So Dan's been squirreling away his money and got this really cool hologram projector thing.
Yep, so I can be down there in Sedona right now.
Yep.
But I'm here.
Yeah.
Physical. You could touch me and it's going to hurt.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. Talk is cheap. We have access to technologies that only people can dream of. So what the heck are you doing in Sedona, Dan?
Exactly.
I'm actually at a conference with Lauren Hansen and Allison Coe. Allison Coe is speaking.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, she's great.
Yep. I wish you would have had a couple of those devices and I could be in Sedona as well.
It doesn't work in reverse.
Oh, it doesn't work in reverse. Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for taking time out of your busy conference schedule to join us on the show this evening.
I am doing videos while I'm down here as well, folks. So stay tuned to the network. I'm doing one when I can, but it's nice weather. I'm trying to enjoy it. This is actually the first time I've been on a plane, unbelievably enough. So, that was a little process to learn all this stuff.
Yeah. I can't believe you made it through life this far, never going up in the air.
I gotta go on this adventure because Sedona's calling me and all the synchronicities lined up, and I gotta
do it. Well, I see you didn't die a fiery death on the way down. I hope you don't die a fiery death on the way back.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. If planes crashed all the time, we'd hear about it in the news.
Exactly.
Right? Anyway, so moving on to the topic. Is there anything we want to mention before we dive into this?
Yeah, we got a phone call from Damien Saint Jackson.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. This is Damien Saint Jackson calling from the fourth realm of Earth, specifically Chicago/Los Angeles. Just wanted to thank you, gentlemen, for your services. And I think that you're in the top 3 podcasts with Tinfoil Hat and Duncan Trussell as well. So keep up the good work. Love you guys, and have a great show. All right, keep kicking some butt. And can't wait till the show starts. Thanks so much. Over and out in the Galactic Federation Starship. Peace.
Thank you.
All right.
Right on. Hey, well, that was kind words.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was Damien. He had 3 names. Damien, right? Awesome.
Damien Saint Jackson.
Damien Saint Jackson.
I don't know how you come up with
Chicago, Los Angeles. Maybe he's got one of those devices you got.
There you go.
Oh, he's in the know as well. Well, that's cool. Thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in and stuff. And we're doing our best here, at least to plant some seeds and let you guys water it.
I forgot to talk about this thing.
Oh, look at that. Nice beverage holder.
Coming to a store near you, or on the interwebs.
Yeah, interwebs. Dan gets all the cool shit first, man. I don't have any of that stuff.
Oh, I'm going to get yours ordered. We discussed it.
Yeah, we did.
And I'm running it through QA.
Yeah, it's holding liquids. That's a good start, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see any chunks flaking off. There's no paint transfer on your lips, so you're doing pretty good so far.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Ooh, definitely.
Yeah, right on. All right.
I love that one.
Okay, so the topic that I'm going to talk about tonight was a pretty interesting one. I had heard some, rumblings about it in the past, and I think, maybe most of our viewers have heard about this phenomena as well. It was submitted by Megan Loves Us All, and the topic is children's memory of past lives. So what does this mean? Just at a nutshell, some young children have been known to say some pretty weird stuff, recollecting past experiences, actually being other people, and, kind of saying stuff and provable facts that were impossible for them to know at their age what they were, what they were talking about.
Yeah.
At first blush, you're like, oh, whatever, these are just good stories and whatnot. But it does actually has gotten some traction in the scientific world as an indication of reincarnation.
Correct.
And what I want to talk about is put a little credibility behind this phenomena, because people are, spending time, money, and effort into studying this phenomenon.
Absolutely.
And it's actually quite crazy, but not so crazy because it's in major universities a subject of interest. Crazy stuff, right? It is crazy stuff. So by far the current leading researcher on this topic is a gentleman, a psychiatrist, Dr. Jim Tucker. He works for the University of Virginia, and he is basically following in the footsteps, picking up the torch of the late Ian Stevenson, who has passed now, but he was the first, I guess, serious researcher to start documenting cases, interviewing the kids, the parents, and start documenting this phenomena. So far, between Dr. Stevenson and Dr. Tucker, over 2,500 cases of this have been documented.
Wow.
2,500.
That's insane.
Have been officially documented through Tucker and Stevenson's work. So that's nuts. One of the most interesting things about this phenomena, this memory of past lives, is that 100% of the subjects that report this are children.
Wait a minute. The children reported?
Yes, the cases documented are in children.
So do they call the place up and then document
Well,
it?
typically what it is the parents say, what the heck is going on with my kid?
Right.
And so they go through a series of psychiatrists, doctors, and anyway, Jim Tucker then has picked up on this, has established himself, and actually, and we'll get to it later in the show, there is a number and an email you can call if you have a child that's doing this. Mr. Tucker would like to hear from you.
You got to warn people.
Yes, you got to warn people. So what I said, it's children, right? So the average age when the child starts remembering their past life is 35 months, average, okay? Could be a little sooner, could be a little later. So at about the 3-year-old mark, which would be 36 months, at about 3 years old, the children start remembering it. And I think part of that has to do with at 3, they're becoming much more effective communicators. Obviously, you look at a 6-month-old, maybe it's having past memories. How would you know? You can't really communicate with it. These children usually stop making their past life statements by the age of 6 to 7. So there's only about a 3 or 4 year window where this can be studied and these memories are there and the children can remember them.
I was going to say, for a while, I did do research on this a little bit too, and yeah, they do stop talking about it after a while. I don't know if they just forget about it or just let it go.
They lose the memories over time.
They got so inundated into this reality where they...
Right, yeah, because that's just it. And that's what Dr. Tucker says is, like an interesting observation is here is that typically they'll lose their memories when they start school and begin having more experiences in the current life.
It takes over.
Yep.
Exactly.
And so they'll start losing their early childhood memories of their normal life at that same time too. When you're 5 years old, you have memories, but today, can you remember anything when you were 4, anything significant,
Right.
So you lose your regular memories as well as your past life memories.
I think I can kind of remember times before I went to school, because I remember not having to go to school before.
Yeah, I barely have a couple things. I remember one of the earliest memories I have is my sister taught me how to tie my shoes the day before kindergarten. And so I was about 5, you know. So it was like the night before kindergarten, I learned how to tie my shoes. Weird.
Ooh. Oh, yes.
Yeah, thanks, Laura. So that's pretty interesting.
Come again.
So over the next 6 to 7 hours, we're going to be reviewing 2,500 cases of this, case by case. No, I'm just kidding.
6 to 7 hours.
No,
Yeah, we got
sorry,
like a less than an hour
just kidding.
window
No.
here.
Yeah, no. I did pick out some interesting cases that I did want to talk about, though. I thought that were some pretty interesting one.
Awesome.
The first one, case number 1, kid by the name of Sam Taylor. He was born 18 months, a year and a half after his grandfather died. And he began recalling details of a past life when he was just over 1 year old. So in this case, it started at 1 year old, a little ahead of the curve than the 35 months we just talked about. And so here's an account. When he was about 1.5 years old, he looked up at his father as he was changing his diaper and said, "When I was your age, I used to change your diapers."
And it only makes common sense.
Yeah, right. If, in fact, this child would have had a past life.
Right.
So imagine that. You're changing your infant's diaper, and he looks up. He can communicate enough and says, "When I was your age, I used to change your diapers." And then at that point, he started talking more and more about, "Hey, I was your grandfather." So it stayed within the family, this case. He eventually told details of his grandfather's life that he could not have known, such as the fact his grandfather's sister had been murdered, and that his grandmother had used a food processor to make milkshakes for his grandfather every day at the end of his life.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so a couple... Jesus Christ, Dan. So a couple instances there, you know, where not necessarily subjects you'd bring up to an, 1.5, 2-year-old kid, the subject of murder and people dying and stuff. So that was pretty interesting. Sam Taylor. This was documented by Dr. Turner as well as one of his, Dr. Tucker as one of his cases that he did. Another case that Dr. Tucker did was a child by the name of Chumalai Wong, a boy from Thailand.
Sounds about right.
Yep. When he was 3 years old, he began saying that he had been a teacher who had been shot and killed as he rode his bike to school. He had eventually convinced his parents to be taken to this teacher's parents, who he felt were his own. He knew the village where he lived, and eventually convinced his family to take him there. He got off the bus, and then the child led his grandmother to a house where an older couple lived. The kid appeared to recognize the couple, and they were the parents of Bukai Lonek, the teacher that was shot. The interesting thing about this case is that Kai, the teacher, Buakai, was shot from behind and had a small round wound on the back of his head, an entry wound, and a larger exit wound on his forehead. Well, Chennai was born with 2 birthmarks, a small round birthmark on the back of his head and a larger birthmark irregularly shaped on the front of his head.
See, I always kind of wondered about that stuff because I do, and I've read about this before when I was looked into some of these cases. I do have a big mole on the back, and I wonder if I got shot in the back somewhere.
Really? Do you ever recall, or your parents ever recall any memories? You should ask your folks next time you talk to them
about any of this stuff. No.
Yeah, you should say, "Hey, when I was a kid, did I ever talk about weird old stuff like I had a past life or something?" You never know; they might. That's something that they wouldn't necessarily say.
Right. That's true, but I don't think I did. They probably would have mentioned it.
Yeah. Okay, well, something to keep in the back of your mind. Crazy stuff, right? Yep. Yes, it is. Case number 3, Kendra Carter. She began swimming lessons at the age... This is a weird one, too. She began swimming lessons at the age of 4. She immediately developed an emotional attachment to her coach, and then began saying that the coach's baby had died, and the coach had been sick and pushed her baby out. Kendra's mother was always at her lessons, and then she asked Kendra, "Well, how do you know these things?" Her reply was, "I'm the baby that was in her tummy." I just got goosebumps thinking about that. You look down at your 4-year-old child who's talking about this swim coach having an abortion. Well, how do you know that? Because I was the baby. I'm having goosebumps on goosebumps.
Yeah.
Because I'm the baby that she had aborted. Kendra went on to describe an abortion. And the coach, the mother later found out that coach had indeed had an abortion 9 years before Kendra was even born. Now, the story goes on from there a little bit as well, but Kendra Carter, that's one that you can look into. Pretty creepy. That would almost indicate then that the memories, start in the womb. Because she remember, right? She was never out. She was never an adult. She was a fetus and I would assume not a full term.
Well, there's this thing too where people get visits from their children before they're born.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you hear about this stuff and even the ET's culture. Yeah, it's like you have a contract and you set it up, and some people get to see their daughter, if she was 14, but they had an abortion. It's like that's what she would have looked like.
No kidding. Oh.
Could you imagine?
No, that would be too much. So anyway, Kendra Carter, pretty interesting story there, huh?
Yeah.
Case number 4. James Leininger. He was a 4-year-old boy from Louisiana. He believed he was once a World War II pilot who had been shot down over Iwo Jima. His parents first kind of got clued into it because James started to have nightmares, and he would wake up screaming airplane crash and the plane's on fire. And the funny thing is, he knew details about the World War II aircraft that would be impossible for a 4-year-old boy to know. One example is that he corrected his mom, who referred to an object on the bottom of a model plane as a bomb. Said, "Oh, that's a bomb." And James was like, "Oh, no, it was a drop tank. Sorry, it's not a bomb. It's a drop tank." In another instance, he and his parents were watching a documentary.
Yeah, because I always thought those were bombs too when I was a kid.
Yep. And they referred to him, and the narrator called a Japanese plane a Zero. And James said, "Oh, no, that's not a Zero, that's a Tony." And he turned out to be right. So it's a slang that they use for different Space Force airplanes. Yeah, Space Force. James also said, "Hey, I had flown off a ship named the Natoma, which was a World War II aircraft, the USS Natoma Bay." His name was also previously James, and shockingly, in the USS Natoma Bay squadron, there was a pilot named James Houston, who had been killed in action over the Pacific Ocean. So here's an example. He had vivid memories of being a World War II pilot named James on the USS Natoma.
Wow, that's insane.
That's crazy. The fifth one I have.
So these kids, when they're talking about these, they're just randomly saying something to their parents about, I used to fly.
Matter of factly, yeah. And to them, it's just normal. I mean, in their mind, everybody has these memories. Oh yeah, I used to be this guy, or I used to be this person.
Right. And it's no big deal for them.
Yep. Okay, so this next one, and then I'm going to get into some numbers too, because I'm a kind of a numbers guy. There you go. Do you have a cash register one on there?
I do not.
Okay, it's not money numbers, but
yeah, correct.
All right. So here I have a short video I want to play too. The fifth case we're going to talk about here is a kid by the name of Luke Ruhlman. Okay. This kid had memories about being a girl named Pam who died in a fire. And we're going to watch a very short clip of a video here where Luke and his mother are taking a test. And the story goes is that, he started having these memories of dying in a fire. Luke's mother thought this was weird, started doing some research, figured out he was talking about Chicago, and he described an apartment building and falling, and she was able to find an apartment complex that started on fire and a woman named Pam dying in it. And Pam was an African-American woman. And here we have obviously a Caucasian, a white young boy. So what Luke's mom did was she took a picture of Pam and put it amongst all these other pictures, a dozen or so other pictures of women, and said, "Hey, do you recognize anybody of this?" And they videotaped it. from a TV show called Ghost Inside My Child. And I just want to take just a few minutes or a few seconds to watch this. This is him getting the picture test done.
Oh, yes.
The picture test.
Damn it. All right.
To put the now 5-year-old to the test.
I had found a picture of Pam, and we had put it on a sheet of paper with a bunch of fake pictures.
What's familiar mean?
Like, you know, I didn't really think that he was going to pick the right one.
But with the cameras rolling,
I know someone I can recognize.
But I remember when this one was taken, and he pointed to the correct one.
So Pam.
Nice.
That's,
took me a couple days
that's
to wrap my
creepy,
head around
Dano.
it.
That's crazy.
Again, goosebumps again. To think of that, you know, that's crazy to think that a small child, but you know, in many different things that we've talked about in the past, you know, people look at children as being pure to the soul and unpolluted and stuff.
Yep.
So and connected to different energies, you know, until we've corrupted them.
So you got to ask yourself, where is that carryover coming from?
Yeah, and why can't we keep it? Why are we resisting it and telling them no? You know, think of how many millions of times. Oh, your imagination is just crazy. That's not real. When maybe it is. I mean,
They say like other ETs that reincarnate over and over and over. They say they remember their past lives. It's only here that we don't remember our past lives.
Yeah, and that comes up in so many different subject matters too. Is that like right now, humans currently are an exception in the fact that we can't remember our past lives.
So it's like they must have just a little bit left, and then it just disappears.
Yep.
And then it's gone. But it's like, think of if you could remember everything over and over and over. Think of how much better of a person you could be. You could learn from your mistakes. You know, keep everything.
Oh yeah, and the knowledge that you'd have, you could just focus on different things. You know, it's crazy. Well,
Exactly.
You know, you could talk about the pineal gland, the third eye, and all of the stuff that we're ingesting and
Oh, yes.
and breathing in that is doing nothing but scarring and hindering that pineal gland. You know, maybe that's part of the key to it as well.
Definitely.
Okay, so I do have some numbers here.
Numbers?
Yeah, some pretty interesting.
I didn't know you were a number
So,
person.
okay, so I didn't, I guess, a little bit, yeah.
Small seasoned curlies.
Yeah, small seasoned curlies. Thanks, Jack. Okay, so we talked about Dr. Tucker, okay? And he is studying these children's past lives as in the memories thereof as it relates to reincarnation, okay? So his research has yielded some kind of, you know, I don't know, peculiar stats, averages, trends, if you will. And I just wanted to kind of read some of these here. So the median age at the time of the previous person's death. So you have a child that's remembering past memories. The median age, which is different than the average. I'll let you look that up. Look up the difference between the mean and the median. The mean is the average.
Median mode.
Yeah, very good. Hey, yeah, Dan just parroted something from high school back at me.
6th grade.
Yeah, there you go. So the median age of the previous person that died is 28. Okay. Most children claiming memories of a past life are between the ages of 2 and 6. Okay. That's the age that they're between, typically. 60% of children who claim past life memories are male. So if you have a boy, a small boy, they have a slightly greater chance of recalling memories. 70% of the children claim they died a violent or unnatural death. So there's some sort of trauma involved that can help trigger this.
That's interesting right there in itself, because maybe the trauma keeps all
an
the
imprint,
memory.
yeah, right. It imprints into the
better
soul or the energies or whatever. Yeah. And of those 70% that died of violent or unnatural death, 70% of those individuals were male.
Are you stereotyping people?
I don't think so. This is all data. 90% of the children say that they were the same sex in a previous life as they are now. We just talked about, what was the kid's name? Luke, that was a female African-American in his past life. The median time between claimed death and birth is 16 months. Okay, so if you have a child that's recalling memories, there's a good chance that it was a recent one, just a couple years. previously, a year and a half or so previously.
Oh, just died 2 years before being
16
born.
months before. These people have, between the death of the previous person and the birth of the person that's having the memories, about 16 months. So it's almost like it transfers right over. It's kind of weird.
So here's a question.
Yes.
Is there any accounts of them finding a memory or a kid that has a memory of it's kind of a current life coexisting?
Oh, I did not come across that at all. This was all to deal with previous people that died, but not.
It can happen.
It can happen. Have you come across coexisting consciousnesses, if you will? Is that the term? I guess I don't know.
I've heard of it happening, but I haven't seen a full written story about it.
Yep. Okay. Like you haven't necessarily seen really anything super compelling about it. Okay. And the last thing I have too, 20% of the children claim memories of time between death and rebirth. So 1 out of 5 of these kids also have memories between when they died and before they were born. Some of them have claimed to have seen God, spoken with God, and were told, oh, here, this is now you're going back, and stuff like that. So, you know, just like Kendra, the one who remembered the abortion, you know, she had her, you know.
Yeah.
So that's crazy too, if you think about it, that there's some sort of, rider on whatever energy is getting transferred, or, you know, it's so weird. I mean, it depends on what you kind of, how you believe life starts. Is there reincarnation? Is it, you know, is there only a certain amount of energy and souls to go around? Are they being recycled? I mean, there's a huge swath of different viewpoints on that.
Well, that's the thing here. It's really going to challenge people's belief system. A lot of people,
yes, it does.
They want to say atheist. Once you're dead, you're dead. I work with a couple of these people, and it's like it doesn't explain how this is able to happen.
Yeah.
Where is that coming from?
Unless somehow energy is out there, you know, like if I die and my soul, you know, my body and my emotions and my thoughts are comprised of electrical impulses. So when I die, those impulses leave. So does some wisp of energy come by and grab it and then put it into a sperm and an egg? And then, I don't know, you know.
By the way, we talked about on the Montauk project where they could have these, they can transfer your soul into another cloned body and bring that into fruition.
Yeah. I forget the gentleman's name that's been murdered and killed and mutilated, you know, by the hands of the elite.
Which one?
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Marshall.
David Rockefeller?
No, it wasn't David. Marshall. Something. What was his name?
Marshall.
Something Marshall, I think.
Is that the Breitbart guy?
No, he was the guy that was on the cover of the Megadeth album.
Oh, yeah, that's
something Marshall, right? Or am I totally?
God, no, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
I can't remember it now.
You know, and how they
Donald Marshall.
Is it Donald Marshall? I think that's the one.
I'll look it up while you talk.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, crazy. So maybe there is a way scientifically to transfer your consciousness, and maybe some of these memories just are getting grabbed on accident. So the final thing I have is, because some of our viewers might have children in this age group, or soon to be, or maybe have some instances that they're thinking are peculiar in the past. So what to do if you happen to have a child that is remembering past lives? It was Donald Marshall, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Donald Marshall.
So the University of Virginia,
He's a man.
Yep, Dr. Jim Tucker, who works for the University of Virginia. Bring up that website here. We do have the University of Virginia website.
Jim Tucker, did you say?
No, the Advice to Parents one. There you go. Yep.
Did you say Jim Tucker?
Yep, Dr. Jim Tucker.
Isn't he the guy that would always, well, he's dead now, but the older guy that always snuck into the Bilderberg meeting? Well, he tried to sneak into the Bilderberg meeting.
I don't know. This Dr. Jim Tucker, I believe, is alive and well and works for the University of Virginia.
Okay.
So if you go to the University of Virginia's website, to the Division of Perceptual Studies, they do have an article on their website, on the university's website, for advice to parents of children who are spontaneously recalling past life memories. So in case your parents you're a parent whose child is remembering these past lives. Some things to keep in mind. Number one, it's important to know that these statements do not, by themselves, indicate a mental illness. Okay, and this is right from Dr. Jim Tucker's website. Okay, so keep that in mind. Just because they're having these memories, it does not indicate a mental illness. Parents need to be open with what their children are reporting. Some of the children show a lot of emotional intensity regarding these issues, and parents should be respectful in listening, just as they are with other subjects that their children are bringing up. So
I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, I know it's difficult. So don't brush them off. Don't tell them that, oh, you're just being silly now. There might be something there. When your child talks about a past life, avoid asking a lot of pointed questions. Ask general open-ended questions, kind of like, do you remember anything else? Well, how does that make you feel? Can you tell me more?
That's a good point. When we did the Bigfoot episode, this is kind of what we were doing. We were kind of not giving a direct answer.
Yeah.
And we would just say,
so what did you see?
Yeah.
Yeah, what did you hear again?
And then I think...
Where did that come from?
The other dudes we were with, I think they would kind of say, it sounded like something else, just to see if we interpret that way.
Yeah, I know that Eric himself will say stuff on occasion like, oh, I just saw something green and moving over there. And then if someone else is like, oh, yeah, I saw it too, then he's like, okay, well, that person will just take that one.
He was joking about the red firefly, huh?
I don't think so. I think that was a cigarette cherry.
No, the second.
Oh, the second one. No, I don't know if he was or not. Maybe he did see something, but who knows? We'll have to ask Eric. But that's a good way to test kind of the credibility of the people there. If you're there with a bunch of yes people.
Exactly.
So another thing, write down what they're saying about their past life. If the child gives enough information so that you could identify the deceased person, I mean, that is huge. If you can go and find the Pam that died in the fire in Chicago and stuff like that. So take notes and take them seriously.
This is what I did when I did my hypnosis session. I had all the stuff, visualization. They said it was in London. I looked up what I saw.
Yeah.
It looked exactly like it.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So, and what's interesting with what you're doing, Dan, too, is that maybe you're breaking down some of these barriers and kind of tuning back into some of this, I guess, larger, bigger picture stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Correct.
So if you do have a child that is experiencing these past lives, one thing, remain grounded. Don't focus solely like on this past life, because you don't want your child to lose sight of, hey, this is great. You have memories of a past life, but this is your current life, and you need to establish yourself and live in this one. You have to convince them, that, hey, this is your current family. This is your current situation. That's pretty.
Who is your daddy?
And what does he do? Oh, he didn't do it. And
what does he do?
Yep. Okay. So, just convince them, or not convince them, but just tell them that, hey, yeah, that's great. You had a past life, but this is your new one now. And this is the one you need to be focusing on. So, you want to make sure that they understand that. And
so,
yeah,
I don't know if I'm going to touch on something sensitive with you, but so you just had a kid yourself.
I did, yeah.
Maybe you should
3 weeks ago.
You should try to start asking these questions kind of soon, see if she can remember anything.
Right. At 3 weeks old, we're not quite to the communication point yet, but I will guarantee you that if my kid starts to say stuff like that, I will foster that and I will document every last little bit about it.
I would almost say try to feed it a little bit.
Yeah. You don't want to bait them, but just, like during pretend times and stuff, say, oh, let's pretend that we used to be somebody else, and then see what comes out.
Like we're in London or say some city or something. See if anything happens.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Paris and see what they say, right? So trust me, I have this newborn, 3 weeks old, and I can, it's like a lump of clay. Let's
congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yep. So that'll be interesting. I tell you what, I will be key on all of this stuff when she's in this young, pure,
perfect.
This perfect state of energy and being, and this
take advantage of it.
Talk is Cheap will be the first place to that will hear about anything peculiar going on.
We only get one shot here.
Yeah, well,
for a few years, but
I guess you can keep trying. How many kids do you want? But I'm not Catholic nor Amish, so
look at this guy.
So if you have a kid or a child, son, daughter that is recalling a past life, Dr. Jim Tucker would like to hear from you. Okay, so you can contact him at dops@virginia.edu. There it is. Boom. They want to hear about it. University of Virginia. So if you have one, reach out to them. Tell Dr. Tucker you heard about it on Talk is Cheap. I'm sure he's a huge fan.
Cheap is talk and talk is cheap.
Cheap is talk and talk is cheap.
He might take you seriously.
So overall, Dan, Megan Loves Us All recommended this, and I thought, I'd heard some cool stories. I had no idea that this much effort and research went into the subject, and it still seems legitimate right now.
Yeah.
So it's great. I love it. Let's figure it out. Dr. Tucker, I'm on your side. If you need any help from us, let us know. We're happy to help.
Exactly.
And it only makes common sense.
I agreed.
China, Japan, Mexico, it can happen.
That's right. Jesus Christ. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Go before you close out, I am in Arizona right now.
No, that's right.
I do have to have a little fun here.
Arizona.
His name is Rick.
Where are you from, Rick? Arizona. The wild women, the wild women, the ripping and the tearing, the ripping and the tearing.
I love it.
All right.
You have never seen that video, have you?
I don't think so.
Oh, I gotta
40 times.
I'll show it to you before the next episode.
40 times.
You guys do it.
All right. Dan, I'd like to hear more about your wild women stories down there.
The ripping and the tearing, the ripping and the tearing.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Another great episode of Talk is Cheap is in the books. And remember, talk is cheap. Where cheap is talk, and talk is cheap.
Yo.